Hello and welcome to this edition of GCS Today, here on Channel 21, the program that brings you news and information from Gaston County Schools. I'm Todd Hagans. On today's edition, Superintendent Booker is with us to share about the accreditation process for Gaston County Schools. And we talk to one of our assistant principals who is a state and national award winner. Joining me on GCS Today is Superintendent of Schools, W. Jeffrey Booker. Mr. Booker, welcome. Glad to have you with us.
Thanks, Todd. It's great to be with you.
We are talking about the accreditation process for Gaston County Schools. So let's begin with you telling us what is accreditation and what does it involve?
Well, accreditation is very important to us. If you go back years, it used to be known as SACS, the Southern Accreditation Council, and it's now a national organization, and they put together a team, and the team will be made up of people from all over the country that come, and they do a pretty robust review of all of our practices, the means and methods that we're using, and just do an overall evaluation of how Gaston County Schools operates.
And so people that have been in Gaston County Schools for a while, they will know it as SACS. It's now changed the name to Advanced Ed. So the Advanced Ed team has been with us to review, really review all areas of the school system.
And that they did. They brought in 10 people, and big group, and one of the individuals actually went to our technology center and talked with our engineers, talked about our internet security and just how we operated, how we provided internet access to all of our schools. He visited our virtual school and met with students to talk about how the virtual school operated, all the way to 3 of our high schools were visited by different teams and looked at what they were doing.
And so that was a 4-day process where you had the review team here. They spent time here at the central office with central leadership, with you as well, and also they were out in our schools talking with students and principals and teachers.
They also did several focus groups where we had community leaders came in and were interviewed at a group of 10, as well as parent leaders. They met with over 30 of our administrators out of the schools were brought in to groups to talk and ask questions and see how it was. And that's one of the great feedbacks we got from them, was the overall collegial feel that they had from our administrators, that it was a team effort working in tandem to get better as a district.
And the review, the accreditation happens every 5 years. And so when you heard from the team that they were recommending accreditation for Gaston County Schools for the next 5 years, how did that make you feel?
It was a great validation, and it worked and reflected on the work that's been going on, because accreditation, while it's every 5 years, it has a midterm review where you update on any asked questions that they had, and then you also start prepping for the next year. And we had been working very diligently, and all of our schools had presented their school quality factors, which is a very impressive document when you start looking at what our schools do on a day-to-day basis. And so I wasn't surprised when he opened it up with saying, this has been an excellent review, prepared well, thorough, and the overall hospitality we felt in your community was to be commended.
That is a very good feeling to hear that news from the review team. Now, they mentioned several items that they were very impressed with in Gaston County Schools. During their school visits, they talked about our classrooms and the management of our classrooms.
They spoke to the caring culture that they felt in our classrooms, that children were open to express themselves, that they were well-managed classrooms, which is a great testament to our teaching professionals out there. And they felt like the schools were engaging in learning with the children.
Now, we've done a lot of work over the past 3 to 4 years in the area of career and technical education, and they had a lot of good things to say about that.
They were significantly impressed. The first thing they started with was the model of the business partnership, and how we'd had the Blue Ribbon Committee come in and talk about it, how we'd worked through those initiatives, and then the overall growth. For us to be the 10th largest district but have the 4th largest number of career and technical certifications earned, they respected that and they saw how it was. And then what was really impressive was when they visited the high schools, this wasn't just something on paper. They saw it. When they visited the middle schools, they saw how the career and technical education program had been expanded. And they've really complimented us on that and encouraged us to continue that work. And it was a nerve nervous point because one of the 10 folks was from Florida, one of the largest districts in Florida, and he was in charge of career and technical education for that 150,000 student district. So he knew what to look for, and he was very complimentary of what was going on.
And one of the things that you highlighted to the review team was about our partnership with the Gaston Chamber, with the Greater Gaston Development Corporation, on initiatives such as Educators in the Workplace and Students at Work and the Manufacturing Expo. A number of our programs that we've put into place, they were impressed to see those programs.
They were, and we were able to, because we've done a good job of capturing that. We showed them a video that Dr. Ann Hoscheit, when she was president of the chamber, had done talking about how important she thought Educators in the Workplace was, and gave some of the interviews that our educators presented as that. And then we did another one on our apprenticeship committee, apprenticeship program, where Milken Educator, and they visited and highlighted 2 of our students. So it gave them that data to add into their report, and they were impressed with the overall spirit of that. And they talked about that as being community engagement and how we're being open and collaborative with our community. That's one of the points that they brought up, that they felt like the school system was working with the community to be what the community wanted the school system to be.
And it's important for the review team, I think, for them, they see it on paper, and you said this, they see it on paper, but when they go into the schools, they want to see it happening. And with the career and technical education, that is one area where it's happening when it comes to career and technical education. Okay, they talked a little bit about what we do to invest in people, our employees, and what we do to invest in resources.
We walked through all the professional development we had going on. Our teachers will know about the mini conference concept that we've brought up, that first day back in the fall when we're coming back to start school, that we have an all-day training by grade, elementary, middle, and high. They were very impressed with the structure of that and the resourcing, and that we then released the teachers to go back to their classrooms, and that through the year we weren't pulling teachers out. It was more as we were bringing folks in to facilitate and work with them, because we know the most important resource we have in our system is our teaching professionals, and to invest in them. And it was obvious in their review, and then in their visit they saw lab sites that we talked about inside of our schools. They saw the evidence that we've been doing in our high schools with Dr. November and the P50 group. So, and I could go on with mentioning other ones, but that's what we talked about. We're trying to grow the people we have working with our students every day, and they went out and looked for that.
Another area where we have taken some big steps forward is the area of school choice. And they mentioned school choice in their response to us, and the lead evaluator said this about the school choice: it gives students an opportunity to find what they like, and it will help them thrive. I know school choice is very important to you, and we're still working on offering even more. But how did it feel to you for them to validate we are moving in the right direction with school choice?
We believe our community has asked for choices, and we'll continue to expand it, and to have an outsider come in and see that it was working and feel that positive was a real blessing to receive that compliment.
And then they identified what they called powerful practices, and I think they have to identify at least one, but they had 2 for us, and they described them as highly commendable. One was the culture of engagement and the shared decision making in the district.
Yes, when they looked at the community talks that were done 4 years ago, they were impressed by the community talks, but what they wanted to ask was, well, what have you done with that? And when they saw that we had been out in the community again to talk about what we were doing, getting feedback on what we were doing, and I think that came through in their parent interviews and with the business leader interviews, that we're not just sitting back. That's what we started this journey 4 years ago, to say we want to hear from the community and respond and be the community's resource. And that was a great recognition there.
The second powerful practice they mentioned is the leadership of the district, and leadership working collaboratively and always focusing on students.
And that's where I touched on earlier. They were very impressed with the two different principal groups that they interviewed about how they saw them interacting and that they knew one another and that they could tell the conversations weren't just in that room that was going on. And they looked at our principal meetings where we have monthly agendas, and they talked about what we were doing to grow as a district and grow our leadership. And they saw that it wasn't a top-down, we're going to do this, but how we collaboratively get input and look at it. And I think that was really shaped when you look at what we've proposed for 1920 with the additional choices and how we're working with those schools to allow them to help us develop what we're going to offer to the community. That was a big part of showing how we've been working together. It's not just do it this way.
And so knowing that the review team is recommending us for accreditation for the next 5 years, it took a lot of work really from almost everybody in Gaston County Schools. What do you want to say to the people associated with Gaston County Schools who had a role in that review?
Well, what I appreciate was the sincere effort that was put forth. When you look at those school quality factors and the level of detail that people produced to show that, and the work actually going on. And they visited classrooms. Remember, Mr. Higgins, they came here and they told us 2 schools they were going to go to, and then they went to 12 other schools that were unannounced. They just went to those schools. So all 54 schools were ready. That meant everyone was prepared. And I actually got a call or two from some principals that said, my staff was disappointed that they didn't come to us. We were ready to knock the lights out for them. And I think that speaks to the culture of the district, that we're doing well by kids, and what we want for our students is to have all children being lifelong learners, and that they wanted to show that evidence, and they were disappointed when they didn't get to. So I just appreciate the effort that was done all the way through. Even one of the evaluators highlighted the conversation that she had had with a custodian at one of the high schools and talked about that person knew what that school was about. The lead evaluator highlighted watching one of the support staff interacting with the child and saying, I knew that wasn't their job, but the care they showed for that child, he was just very impressed. And that's where that culture thing came about. So very commendable for what our 4,000 employees are doing.
It's great to hear that review team say you are a quality school system, and I know you take great pride in hearing that.
Yes, and I appreciate, we've gotten a number of emails. When we sent out the recognition to all of our staff, I've gotten a number of emails back saying this is great, and it is. And it is, the greatness lies in each one of them and what they're doing every day.
We're proud of Gaston County Schools and glad to have that positive review by Advanced Ed, and to know that we've got that accreditation as a quality school system for another 5 years. It's great to have that.
Thanks, Tom.
Superintendent Jeff Booker is with us on GCS Today. We appreciate you being here, and we appreciate all the great leadership that you're providing for Gaston County Schools.
Thanks.
You are watching GCS Today here on Channel 21. We will be right back.
And then from this angle, it all makes a star.
I'm a teacher. Let me tell you what I make. I make learning a privilege, not a chore.
Show up
And frustration, a tool, not an obstacle. I make working hard seem easy, and giving up impossible.
And then we're going to turn the lights and everybody look up.
I make an old subject feel like a fresh thought.
Finally won.
What's your reaction?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And unconventional methods
Okay, what else?
common.
Little tadpoles, the frogs, the spiders, this is their world.
There's nothing.
And then they die. Go ahead, go, go, go.
I'm a teacher. I make more.
Joining me on GCS Today is Meghan LeFevers. She is an assistant principal at Bessemer City High School and the winner of 2 awards, the North Carolina Secondary Assistant Principal of the Year Award and also the Milken Educator Award for North Carolina. Congratulations, Meghan.
Thank you, Todd.
2 significant awards. Let's first talk about the Milken Educator Award. What is it?
So the Milken Educator Award is a national award given by the Milken Family Foundation, sponsored by Lowell Milken, and they are very surprise oriented. So they come to your school and surprise you. You can't nominate or apply for the award. They find you, and they really aren't too keen on telling you where they find you from, but they come to your school and award you with a $25,000 check and just have a school celebration for you.
So there was a school assembly at Bessemer City High School, and I think they tricked you into saying that the state superintendent would be there to recognize you as the state assistant principal of the year.
Well, at first they tricked me by saying that he was coming for his talking points, and then I kind of maybe had a guess that may be what it was for, but no confirmation, and I surely had no idea that it was for the Milken Family Foundation Award.
So when they announced your name, what were your thoughts at that moment?
Honestly, I had none, and that's rare. I usually always have something to say, but at that point I had nothing to say. I was very honored and confused and just a lot of different emotions, overwhelmed and trying to understand what it was that I had won and what that looks like.
And so the award is about recognizing one outstanding educator in each state for something that person has done that is above and beyond expectations. And I know you have been working with students with special needs. You've been an advocate for students who are at risk of dropping out of school. Why is that your focus area?
I've always loved working with kids, but early on in my teaching career, I had the opportunity to work with kids who weren't discipline problems. They did not have any type of attendance issues, but they just weren't learning how to the same level as other students. But most weren't EC or any type of 504 plan. So I had the unique opportunity to work with them to understand and really find out like where their gaps were. And I had one student, a male student, who was just it was very clear that his confidence was what was keeping him behind. And he was EC, but once we were able to address his confidence, he soared and he graduated and is now working a successful job. Had another student who was significantly impaired and couldn't speak, and once we were able to overcome those hurdles, we were able to find out too that she was brilliant, and that we were able to provide her with that confidence and self-esteem, and she also now is in college. So that was just a unique opportunity at William C. Friday Middle School that I had, and it was the fuel I needed to keep going.
Okay, so your background, you're a graduate of Cherryville High School.
Yes, sir.
You went to college, got your degree, and you came back to Gaston County as a teacher, and you began your career at WC Friday?
Yes, sir.
And so then you stepped into the administration role, and you were at Bessemer City High School.
Yes, sir.
Now, we mentioned the awards program at Bessemer City High School for the Milken Educator Award, but about a month ahead of that, you received another award, and that was the North Carolina Secondary Assistant Principal of the Year Award. What does it mean to be recognized for that honor?
To me, that was an honor that I was so proud to have. Working with my colleagues here in the county, at the state level and the regional level, to know that out of all those folks, the state entrusted me with being a great advocate for those folks and also being able to represent them well at the national level, which will happen in July. That was just something that I could not even really fathom, that I was chosen out of everyone. So now it's become a responsibility. Both of these have become a responsibility as I learn more about them, to now become that voice and that advocate for the groups that I represent, whether it be teachers or administrators or students, families. Now I've been given the opportunity to really have a platform and be able to go out and share my message with other folks.
Growing up, did you always know that you wanted to be a teacher, an educator, somehow involved with education? You come from an education family.
Yes, sir. No, I did not. I really fought that off. I did always babysit, always taught swimming lessons at the country club in Cherryville. So I was working with kids frequently, but I wanted to be a doctor, surprisingly, and that didn't work out. But of course, everything happens for a reason. And my senior year, it was vitally important due to family circumstances that I have a full ride to go to college, and that came through Teaching Fellows. And I love kids, and I was okay with that. And surely enough, that worked out pretty well. So I'm glad that that happened, and everything happens for a reason. So
I think it is safe to say that it has worked out very well for you.
Yes, sir.
In your career. Now, why has education become a calling for you? It's more than just a job to you. Why is it so important to you?
You know, I see a lot of kids who are misunderstood, whether it be because they have a disability or they come from a family or a home environment that may not have the most money or opportunity that they're allowed to have. And I see them not being displaced, but really more misunderstood. And if I could help people understand our students and help them to see the strengths that they have over just what their labels may be, if we can work past those labels to treat these students as opportunities and not problems, that's when it becomes the time where they really can grow and they can gain their self-esteem and their confidence, as well as move forward in their education.
You talked about working with students who have special needs, and sometimes they need that role model and that mentor and that person to help boost confidence. Where do you get inspiration to work with students who have challenges? You know, because I imagine sometimes it's not always easy. Where do you get that inspiration?
From an early age, I was able to go with my grandfather, who was a Shriner and a Mason in Cherryville, and we were able to go to the Shriners Hospital and take students to appointments. And I was at Cherryville Elementary School at that time. So on the weekends or on teacher work days, I may ride with him to go and take folks down there to their appointments. And at that point, I realized that it's not really about the person; it's about the things that they have to overcome. So if you can find a way to overcome those things, then you can really get to know that person. And that's where I really have gained that inspiration. And then moving forward into education, just the success day to day and working with students who get things that no one ever thought that they would ever understand. It's really kind of fun, like Walt Disney says, to do the impossible. And sometimes when you get those things that happen and the light bulb goes off and you get the success, it provides fuel for those days where it's not that easy.
Now, you've had a lot of attention on you, first because of the Secondary Assistant Principal of the Year honor for the state, and then second came the Milken Educator Award. Do you feel like a celebrity as you were walking the halls at Bessemer City High School?
I don't. I feel like I'm there for another day of work. I do feel like I have, again, that platform and that responsibility now to not only be at Bessemer City High School, but also to speak and use my voice and writing and opportunities to share the messages things that are working well at Bessemer City, things that have worked well for me in my career. So that's a little different, but no, day to day is the same.
But I imagine you have found yourself in the spotlight with cameras and interviews and TV, and you've had a little bit of that, haven't you?
Yeah, and I've learned that I've been in charge of brick and mortar walls, whether it be in a classroom or a school building. I've never really been in charge of the TV, so I'm kind of learning your department at this point in time and how that feels, and it's a great learning opportunity, and I'm thankful for all the opportunities that I've been given.
Well, we certainly appreciate everything you do in your role as an assistant principal to help students in Gaston County, and we congratulate you on two really significant awards: the North Carolina Secondary Assistant Principal of the Year Award for 2017-2018, and also the Milken Educator Award, which is a national honor, and you've won it for the state of North Carolina. Yes, congratulations on those two honors, and thank you for everything that you do for our schools.
Thank you for what you do as well.
Meghan LeFevers, Assistant Principal at Bessemer City High School, we appreciate you being with us here on GCS Today.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching GCS Today. Stay tuned to Channel 21 for the latest school news and information. We look forward to seeing you next time.